Either she is a teenage hero who saved a family from an abusive father, or she is a maniacal killer who executed her own dad in cold blood as he slept. For a family in Warren, Ohio, what you believe depends on what side of the family you're on. 15-year-old Bresha Meadows is locked up tonight, charged with murdering her father while he slept on the couch. Her mom called 911 just moments after this happened.
911. My daughter. And she just shot my husband in the head.
Meadows is charged as a juvenile, but she's charged with aggravated murder in her dad Jonathan's death. And there is a very strange twist here. Her mom calls her daughter a hero, saying that she had been abused by her husband, her children's father, for years. According to reports, Brandy Meadows filed for a protective order against him back in 2011, but later she had it dismissed and said that she was just plain afraid to leave.
She's my hero. I wasn't strong enough to get out, and she helped us all. And she's my hero, our hero. And now we need to move forward and have us a better life.
Ian Friedman is Bresha Meadows' attorney, and he joins me live from Cleveland. Ian, thank you so much for being with me. You
Thanks,
take your dad's .45 caliber handgun and you put it to his head while he's sleeping. What on earth is her defense?
The defense in this case is clearly self-defense. That's what was claimed that evening, and our investigation since then over the last 6 months has corroborated that fact. This was an extremely, extremely abusive household towards mom, siblings, and Bresha, and this is what she felt she had to do in order to defend herself and the family.
So we have heard Bresha's mom saying, "This is my hero, I should have gotten out sooner."
Right.
How strong is that for your case? How much can that actually play into your case?
Well, I mean, really, there's only a number of people in the house. I know a lot of people, Mr. Meadows' side of the family obviously is mourning, and you know, I understand that. But the only people who really know what happened were Bresha, her mother, and the 2 siblings. And all of them are saying the same thing, that Jonathan Meadows was extremely abusive in that household. And we're not talking, you know, just little pushing and slapping around. We're talking about brutal beatings. And
so I'm glad you brought up those siblings, Ian, because you know, obviously Brandy has something to say. She's been public about it.
Right.
But then there are these 2 other siblings that you just mentioned, Jonathan, who I think is 21, and Brianna, who is 19. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you're saying they corroborate this story completely? They've gone on the record. They will be witnesses in this case for their sister, for their little sister?
So they will be witnesses that we will be calling in our case in chief. I am confident that they are going to paint the accurate picture in this case, which will leave only one conclusion in the end. Fortunately, this 14-year-old living in a nightmare had to do what no 14-year-old, what no person should ever have to do. This should not have happened. They'll back that up, yes.
Ian, you heard me at the beginning of this story say that it really depends on what side of the family you're on as to whether you believe this young teenager is a hero or a monster. And understandably, Mr. Meadows' family is devastated. In fact, I believe his sister said this was a, quote, cold, calculated murder. And I will guarantee you that is also something we'll get into court as well. How are you going to get past that?
Look, I've never walked into a courtroom where there weren't 2 sides to the story. Period. But the one thing about Mr. Meadows' family is they were not there. They did not live there. They were not part of that daily nightmare. This family was, this component of the family, Bresha was there, and this is what she saw every day of her life for 14 years. So, you know, when her mom hails her a hero, you know, I understand why they're saying that, and I know that it may be tough for people to understand, but when you are forced to live in that sort of home, it's a whole different story. Most people can't even really imagine what was going on there, and I'm glad they can't.
Well, we'll see what happens, obviously, when this ends up being litigated in the spring. Hold for a moment, if you will, Ian. I want to bring in
Sure.
Jana and Jan and Danny again. Danny, look, there are 2 sides to every story. I get it. And there are abusive households. I get it. can you actually use that as an excuse to put a gun to someone's head and say, I just had to stop the insanity?
Ashley, you've homed right in on the issue, because whether it's self-defense or defense of another, the law requires an imminent danger. Imminent meaning immediate, about to happen. And courts have gone both ways when a defendant alleges that repeated, pervasive abuse put them in apprehension of imminent physical harm. Could go both ways, because the prosecution could argue, well, he had threatened you many times. You weren't in actual fear of that moment, especially in the case where somebody is asleep and not posing any immediate threat.
So, Jan, about this imminent issue, I guess we're all adults and we understand what imminent danger is. She was 14 when this happened. Is imminent different for a 14-year-old? Would a judge, jury, a juvenile system look at it differently?
Well, first of all, juveniles are going to get a lot more sympathy from the trier, whether it's a jury or a judge, than an adult would be under.
Even a juvenile who puts a gun to a father's head while he's sleeping?
Sometimes there aren't two sides to a story. And you mentioned earlier that it depends on what side of the family you listen to get at the facts. But the truth of the matter is, as Mr. Friedman said, it's possible that the other family didn't know of the abuse. It's very possible, as he says, that the abuse took place, you know, in an isolated situation where other people didn't know. So there may not be two sides of the story.
So, Jonna, does it help that you have older sister, older brother, mom, all coming in, as Mr. Friedman, the defendant's lawyer, said, corroborating their story that this was a hellhole to live in, that they couldn't live any longer with this abusive father?
In this case, I'm going to say it must have helped, because otherwise the prosecutor didn't have to leave this case in juvenile court. And the fact that, I mean, what's bothering me most about this is that she put a gun to her father's head when he was sound asleep.
Yeah, that's the imminent thing. It's real hard to get past that,
Very hard to get past, because if you have the wherewithal to do that, you have the wherewithal to pack a bag and go to grandma's house or go someplace else instead of killing your own father. But the DA must be convinced that there are some mitigating circumstances, or they probably would have not kept this in juvenile court.
All right, we're going to keep our eye on that one as well. And an accused cop killer, Marquis Floyd, I think you've come to know him well, mostly because of the videos of him in court. And now we're learning a whole lot more about his alleged victim, Lieutenant Deborah Clayton, and her brutal fight after being shot, and how she was able to pull off a few more rounds against him, too. Plus this, a car on fire inside a woman is trapped. The amazing lengths that this hero cop went to get her out alive.